Blade Runner is directed by Ridley Scott and is known by many as not only one of the most influential, important sci-fi films of all time, but also one of the most important, influential films of all time just in general. And obviously I am reviewing this film sort of leading up to the release of Blade Runner 2049, which has been getting like insane reviews, and it is my most anticipated movie of the year, even though when I did make my most anticipated movies of the year in like December or January, I said that Last Jedi was my most, but now it is Blade Runner. And I only saw Blade Runner, the final cut, which is sort of the one I'm going to be talking about, because that's the one that, you know, Ridley Scott wants you to see. That's the one where he has all the creative control. That's the one that Ridley Scott likes. That's the one that, you know, I'm going to talk about. And I only got to see it, I would say, I think May or April was when I got to see it for the first time, because I tried to watch it 2 years ago, I think, but I couldn't really sit through it. I was about 40 minutes in, and then I tried again, and I just couldn't sit through. I was about an hour in, but then I decided I'm just going to sit down, watch Blade Runner, the final cut, and it is a truly revolutionary, brilliant film. I want to start with my thoughts about this film by talking about the fact that I don't have to love a film to know that it is a really, really good, really well made, revolutionary film, because Blade Runner, I would say, isn't one of my favorite films. I would probably say like it's like top 30 or top 40, so it is pretty high, but it's not like, if someone asked me what's my favorite science fiction film, I would probably say like Star Wars or Inception, something like that. I'm not going to say Blade Runner. However, this is one of the most influential films of all time. What Ridley Scott did with this film, just from a filmmaking aspect alone, is truly revolutionary. If you watch Blade Runner in like HD 1080p on a 4K TV, it looks just as good as, if not better than, most films today. It holds up. I feel like whenever someone asks me, you know, what's the difference between practical effects and, you know, CGI, Blade Runner is one of those examples that I would give them, because the use of practical effects in this film, and by the way, most of this film is practical, like there's minimal CGI. The use of practical effects is insane, and all the technical aspects, all of the stuff behind the camera is absolutely incredible, whether it's the script by Hampton Fancher, and there's a lot of like controversy behind that, and like he had to get it rewritten and stuff like that, but the script is really good, the cinematography is really good, the production design is really good, the score by Vangelis is brilliant. It's one of the most iconic film scores of all time. The Blade Runner score, everyone's heard of it. Just on the technical level alone, Ridley Scott and his team really did revolutionize the way people made films. This film is also revolutionary because it's one of the first films that really sort of mixed genres together, because I think Blade Runner, we can all agree, is sort of like a sci-fi film noir, and that's never happened before. And after Blade Runner, even though this film wasn't that well received, it didn't make that much money when it came out, people make movies like Blade Runner. A lot of sci-fi films nowadays really are inspired by Blade Runner, whether it's, you know, again, in the technical aspects of it, or just in the idea that it sort of brings different genres together. And Blade Runner as a film, as a concept, is such a big risk, because, you know, if the film like this had come out today, it would be great, but I feel like a lot of audiences just wouldn't watch it just because it's not a superhero film or it's not a sequel. Even back in the day when it came out, I obviously don't know because I wasn't alive, but I just feel like back in the day it was still a big risk, and I think that it is a risk that paid off, because this film is just great on every level. Harrison Ford as Rick Deckard is obviously one of the more iconic sci-fi heroes, one of the more iconic movie heroes. This is probably, I would say, the third most iconic Harrison Ford role, you know. Han Solo and Indiana Jones are obviously the big ones, but still, this is a brilliant performance by Harrison Ford. And do I think that he is a replicant? Yes. I think we're probably going to find out in the new film, but I do think that he is a replicant just because of that unicorn dream and the origami thing. This film does such a great job of fitting so many different things and so many different ideas and philosophies and concepts into like an hour and 40 minute or a 2-hour film, and it's so good. I feel like the big question from this film, the sort of the big theme that it sort of explores, is the idea that, you know, if artificial intelligence, if robots are so advanced, if they're, you know, they can feel love and pain and loss, what's really the difference between artificial intelligence and humans? And the film does such a great job of exploring that. And the speech at the end, which is apparently improvised by Rutger Hauer, who's like such an underrated actor. He's in Batman Begins, he's so good. I feel like that sort of speech, that sort of monologue, is one of the most iconic and heartfelt speeches and monologues ever. It's so good. Another thing about this film that I really love is that it is substance over style. A lot of films, people always say style over substance. Blade Runner is definitely substance over style. This film is packed full of substance, but on a visual level, this film is also so beautiful that the style kind of like makes the substance even better. Like, this is like a perfect science fiction film, I would say. And I think a complaint that a lot of people have had with Blade Runner, as a film is that, you know, it's not that fun or it doesn't have that much action. But if you want fun and action, then you should watch Star Wars or Star Trek. Blade Runner is sort of like an intellectual, thought-provoking, philosophical film. It's for people who really like to sort of look under the surface, and I just happen to like that, and I think a lot of people do as well. It's just a really innovative, brilliantly made film that looks great, the visuals hold up, the acting is brilliant, the directing is brilliant, and I do think that Blade Runner is one of the best science fiction films ever made. I'm gonna give Blade Runner an A+. I've said this like, I don't even know how many times in this review, but it is one of the most influential films of all time, and it's definitely influential to me as well, because a lot of sci-fi films, when I watch them, I kind of compare them to Blade Runner, and I just hope that, you know, 2049 will be as good as it looks and as good as everyone else has, you know, been saying it is. But I do have sort of the utmost faith in Denis Villeneuve. Actually, it's his birthday today. Just fun fact, it's his birthday. It's like his 50th birthday. Happy birthday, Denis Villeneuve. So yeah, that's my review for Blade Runner. I hope you guys get a chance to see this film before, you know, 2049. I haven't seen 2049, but I do think that, you know, you should see the first film because it is a classic. Thank you very much, guys, as always, for watching. Thank you.